Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. Speaking of finest, New York's finest arrested a man for carrying this glorious contraption, then had the audacity to seek affirmation and kudos on the socials for their work. Imagine being such an absolute redcoat that you think it's okay to throw people in the struggle cuddle cage just for having a gun or a sword, or, a gun sword. Now, imagine you're the same useless redcoat, except this time you're oppressing a dude for having a non-functional replica of a sword gun. If you look closely, you can see there are no holes bored in the cylinder and the blade curves up in front of the bore, so it wouldn't be very shooty anyway. Now, okay, just stay with me. Now imagine you're such a monumentally stupid oxygen thief, you zip-tied a non-functional replica. Oh, and yeah, you also went and posted your work to the interwebs for all to see. If you did that, you would be an absolute potato, a red coat wearing potato. Now, to be fair, the guy was on probation, but even if that thing was real, a cap and ball revolver is not considered a firearm by the federal government. A felon could carry it in most states, and yeah, he had a fake FBI badge, but there wasn't any mention of him impersonating an FBI agent. No word on what the guy was on probation for, but if it was for selling fentanyl-laced elotes to Girl Scouts, I'm betting they would have said so. What do you think? Did the NYPD take another dangerous hardened criminal off the streets? While you guys argue about that in the comments, please remember it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors, so let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Hydra. From the genius that created the Bushmaster firearm comes the Hydra Mark 15, the ultimate weapon platform, modular, versatile, and mission-driven. The Hydra Mark 15 quick and easy caliber changes give you a whole lot of options without costing a whole lot of money. Did you hear about the ATF's Eform site going down last week?
No, they just can't help themselves.
The Eform site is used to submit all the various federal forms required to obtain the Crown's pleasure to transfer anything really fun, whether you're an individual or a trust or a corporation. Even the King's men have to file these forms. You could do it the old-fashioned way and fill out paper forms, of course, but back in 2021, the ATF got hip to the information superhighway and started allowing serfs to supplicate the state electronically. When the site went down, some people speculated it was done intentionally for one reason or another, but the ATF says it was for maintenance.
That's a lie.
It is.
There it is.
It's a lie.
Don't make me tap the sign, folks. The ATF won't say why it was down, but it is back up. I just can't help but notice it happened on a leap day. Now, I don't have a shred of proof, but is this because the feds can't count? Did they have to shut the site down because they realized at the last second that filing a form dated on February 29th would break all the things? What do you guys think? New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin has decreed microstamping is now a viable technology, triggering New Jersey's microstamp law, which requires all dealers to sell a microstamp-enabled pistol.
Where do you even get that stuff?
Platkin came to this conclusion by reading some papers and shooting a gun. He won't say which gun it is, but it will be entered into a roster of microstamp-enabled guns. Someday. Eventually.
We will get there when we get there.
Maybe I'm just a cynical jackass, but I'd be willing to bet a six-pack that whoever owns the company making the pistol has some connections in New Jersey government.
Follow the money.
I mean, it would be a pretty sweet deal to get the state to force gun shops to buy your gun. I mean, even if the dealers never sell all that many of them, you still get paid because the dealers had to buy them. The idea behind microstamping is it's supposed to imprint a serial number or other unique code into a fired case, often by means of the firing pin, to allow cops to solve crimes by questioning the person the gun was stolen from, I guess. In the exceedingly rare cases where a crime was actually committed by the person who originally bought the gun, there's nothing to stop them from filing down the stamp.
Who's gonna stop us, eh?
For that matter, normal wear and carbon buildup can render these stamps illegible. You could even go so far as to collect brass at a public range and salt a crime scene with cases from dozens of shooters. I'm sure that'll make it easy to solve. I could go on and on about reasons microstamping is stupid and doesn't work well, but you probably have better things to do. Scott Bach, the executive director of the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, said the sole value of microstamping is to politicians looking for an excuse to ban self-defense tools from law-abiding citizens by declaring all conventional ammunition illegal and requiring a useless technology that no one actually makes and has no real crime-solving value.
So say we all.
The control freaks in Virginia are on a tear and have submitted a flood of authoritarian bills to the governor to sign. If you want details on them, please take a look at the AmmoLand article linked down there in the doobly-doo. But for now, just know there are a lot of them, and they're all bad.
All bad.
Bad.
You do that, you go to the box, you know.
What happens in one state will spread to other states and to the federal level. So whether or not you live in Virginia, I want you to stop what you're doing and take a moment to call Governor Glenn Youngkin at 804-786-2211 and urge him to veto every single one of the 37 gun control bills on his desk.
Fly, my pretties, fly!
The director of the ATF...
Come on, you know the thing. The AFT.
Yes, of course, Mr. President. How silly of me. The director of the AFT, Stephen Diedelbach, appeared on Face the Nation to answer softball questions and help the news Karen promote gun control. Having never been issued a gun throughout his entire career and self-admitting not being an expert on firearms, the doughy-faced bureaucrat wisely brought along some adult supervision, hopefully to help avoid embarrassment, but that didn't really work out.
How can you tell that? Sorry, where's the bump stock? Is there like a physical piece?
But that's a great question, right? Of course, right? How can you tell,
Yeah.
right? These two things are the same.
They look, right.
They operate the same. Both of them can shoot right through this 75-round clip.
There was a lot of stuttering and a lot of coyly saying, that's for Congress to decide, while blatantly advocating for more infringements.
It's hard for Congress to get a lot done these days. On this one, are you confident they will?
I'm hopeful that they will. It's up to them. We at ATF are doing everything we can within the law to try and protect them under the laws we have from these unlawful machine guns. Now, if somebody wants to pass additional laws, we'll take those.
Of course, that's exactly what you would expect him to do, but what you wouldn't expect him to do is to promise not to prosecute people for having bumpy boys.
People who possessed bump stocks prior to the rule being issued under Attorney General Sessions and Barr, that the notion that those people are somehow going to be retroactively, prosecuted. At ATF, we have a lot of public safety concerns to worry about. There's no way that we're going to go back and during a period of time before the rule was issued, 7 years ago, prosecute people for possessing these firearms.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
The AFT has, of course, already prosecuted several people for having bumpy boys. That's why Garland versus Cargill is before the Supreme Court right now. But this isn't the first time this dummy put his foot in his mouth because he was clueless about his own agency's policies. Some of you might remember, less than a year ago, Diedelbach testified before Congress that pistol brace owners would not be prosecuted if they simply detached their brace.
That's not for us to regulate. If somebody we wrote the rule to make it easy to comply with. If somebody just at their home detaches the weapon from the brace and keeps them apart, they do not have to register anything. They can keep the brace, they can keep the business end of the gun.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
He's got two hands, so that's two dicks at a time, right?
He's an idiot, and everybody knows it, but he's an entertaining idiot, so let's hope he stays in front of the cameras. But before I get to your moment of zen, I'd like you to enjoy this last little gem.
I made, by the way, one of these guns. My wife will tell you I can't screw in a light bulb, all right? But I made one of those handguns out of the kit, went down to the range, shot it, shoots just like a traditional firearm. It can wound just like a traditional firearm. It can kill just like a traditional firearm. You said it. It's a ghost gun because it's cold.
That doesn't even make sense.
And now for your moment of Zen.
Now, a lot of people have been complaining we've been using too much powder in our BP. So this one's for all them people right here. Just a couple little granules. How about that? What's that, about 5, 10? Then you get your little ball. This might not even be enough to compact any.
Only one ball?
Yeah, well, that's just a little bitty powder charge. And you just throw your percussion cap on there, and then you just hope and pray. Reusable ammunition, Bubba.
Hey friends, do you like pews and other pew-related things? Would you like to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of $3.50? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you.